Did you grow up with money?
Yeah. We were like rich growing up.
No.
I swear to God, me and Chris were talking about this.
Rich and living in Oak Cliff?
Well, living in Mesquite.
Oh, yeah.
So you started out rough area.
I was like, I just went back and forth a couple times. But
that sounds
the
rich.
house we were in.
Hey, let's go from Oak Cliff to Mesquite.
I mean, like
hood to like lower middle class.
Well, you summer in Mesquite.
The house we were in was like borderline Garland, Mesquite, and we were the first ever like Hispanic people on that whole block. There was us. There was one black family across from us. Everybody else was white. It was like a nice house.
So that's rich.
My uncle bought that house when he was like 18. Yeah, he had like hired a realtor, and my uncle, my mom's brother, got my dad into. They were drug dealers, like sold like all sorts of drugs. My uncle was like a right-hand man for like a cartel in Mexico.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like we were like spoiled. No matter where we lived, we were always like so taken care of. I had like all the video games. I had like so much clothes. Like my uncle had a Corvette, a BMW. Like I've been so rich and I've been so poor. And like either way, I'm chilling.
Yeah.
I realized that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, if I have money or not, like who cares?
You're gonna be good.
Yeah, I mean they're not rich anymore. Like I can't just rely on them. Don't get me wrong. The glory days are over, right?
Yeah.
But like I don't know. I'm chilling either way.
I didn't know that you feel comfortable talking about it? They're cool?
Like some parts. If there's ever anything that I shouldn't say, I'm just not going to say it.
All right, fair enough. The money came in. It was flush. Were you worried about anybody getting taken out?
Nah, because I didn't even, bro, I was like oblivious. I was like a dumb kid.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like 15, 16 years old. Did you guys ever watch The Sopranos?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You remember like first season was like Meadows telling her little brother like.
And AJ,
Yeah, she's telling AJ like, our dad's in the mafia, dumbass. Like,
yeah.
That's how like my cousins were like telling me, and I'm just like, nah, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
They're like, who around us has a job? And I was just like, oh shit. Like I never thought about it.
Did the neighborhood know? And
nah.
Not at all.
Nah.
So there wasn't any judgment from the neighbors. They were like, yeah, they're drug dealers. Don't let them play with the kids.
Nah,
nothing.
They had no idea. They thought like my grandpa had like a job in doing like sheetrock and stuff.
Yeah.
Like he's probably the one guy in our whole family who had like a job. Yeah. So everybody's just like, oh, he probably just runs like a sheetrock business, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did your family end up telling you? Or is there ever a discussion about it?
There was once I was like 16 or something like that. I just started asking them about it a little bit here and there. My dad one time like confessed it to me when he had like quit. He like got out of that. He got out of that, and then like 4 years after he had quit, he was running. He had like different businesses he'd run. He had like a body shop and like a painting. Like they used to go paint like apartments and buildings and stuff.
Yeah.
And one day, like 4 years after he had quit, he was like running a job site, and like federal agents just showed up and were like, "Yo, you're under arrest." So he had already told me before that. And I had like questions here and there, but I also didn't want like that's their life. I didn't want to get too much into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But wild experience.
Yeah. Like we grew up like so spoiled. We go to Mexico every summer, and my uncle would just like, my grandma would take me and my cousins, right? And my uncle would just send her with so much money. Part of it was to like deliver to like his bosses or whatever. Yeah. Sometimes we'd even take like guns down there to sell to people. No like way. In my luggages, we'd have like AR-15s wrapped up.
That's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
And you knew it, and so you also got to lie or feel like you have to hold the lie.
Nah, I was like, they knew how dumb I was. I didn't know what was going on, but I wasn't gonna say anything. Like, I just see them wrapping up like guns in my luggage, right? And then we're just taking off.
What did you think it was for if you didn't know what was going on?
I think I was just so used to like seeing guns around my uncle that I didn't think it was like that crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Like I didn't, in my head, I'm not like guns are bad. Like, yeah. I'm just like, yeah, it's a gun, whatever, you know what I mean?
Do you think this is where you've developed this kind of like chill demeanor? Because you're in kind of high stakes situations. So you have to find ways to calm yourself.
There was one time where I was just like freaking out. It was just me and my grandma alone this trip, and we're headed into Mexico. And
Ralph, okay, go.
And at the border,
you also work for the cartel.
It's like the youngest employee.
You're smuggling money.
It was an internship.
Yeah,
yeah, like they like they like got me out of the car and they made my grandma go to like this other little area. Like they were just like questioning her because she had like so much money on her. They're like, what the fuck's like? But my grandma was like, my grandma loves my uncle. You know what they say about like, you know us Latinos, Latin moms like ride or die for their sons. Their daughters, fuck them. But like,
yeah.
So my grandma's like, didn't say shit. Like my grandma's like, it's like my life savings. Like I'm retired. I have a house in Mexico. Like, how you gonna tell me I can't take my money to my home country? Like, fuck out of here, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, like, but I was freaking out. I was like crying and shit. I thought I was never gonna see my grandma again. I was little, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we do this stuff, but because of it, we had like the greatest summers in Mexico. Like we'd go. My grandma would drive to like all these different cities and states to pick up whatever cousins I had, and it was just like the coolest summer. Like all of us, she'd take us to like water parks and like fucking. There's this like national park out there where it's just like clear water, fucking rivers and lakes and shit. We go like swimming, like take us to the movies all the time, just buy us shit. We go to another state where they had like the fair, like. Well, I'm telling you, we lived like kings.
So, was it worth it?
I asked my dad that, and I've asked my uncle that, because they went to the feds. They've done their time, but it wasn't like behind bars. It was like prison camp.
They went to the country club.
Minimum security or whatever.
Yeah, because they had no records. They had no like violent records.
But did they flip? Did they?
I don't think so. They told me no. Like I said, I still don't ask them shit because like.
And the cartel would probably handle that if they did.
Yeah,
I do remember walking around is.
I do remember when my uncle was on trial, him telling like I asked him a little bit about it because like I'm curious, but I'm also like
scared probably.
It's just that they never talked about it to anybody.
Yeah.
So I did not want to. It's kind of like what you said when you look at the comedians you look up to. You don't want to fanboy and then they be like fucking crush your dreams. Like,
yeah.
I didn't want to feel like I was disrespecting my uncle or my dad or any of the serious shit they had going on by being like, do you know Al Capone? Like some stupid ass question, you know? I'm like, bro, I'm just grateful they gave me a fucking badass life. I'm grateful they're alive. Like I don't know what their business is. I don't know how I know my uncle would be stressed a lot. You know what I mean? I did ask him like one time, and I just remember him saying that like his bosses in Mexico were like thinking of prison in America as like a joy. Like don't do that. Like just come down here. Like retire down here. Like we'll build you a cabo. Like, but my uncle was just like nah, just
because he had his whole family here and he didn't want to leave the family. He didn't want to force it.
I don't think he really cared too much about all that. He's like a family man, but he's not like this like come home and kiss your kid on the forehead. He's just like. Had a son here, a son there. He'll spend time with him, but he's not like, he's like a bachelor life type dude. You know? But I think he just felt like, fuck it. Like, I made my bed, I'll lay in it, like, handle up. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And so, yeah, I think the shit they were doing, if they would have flipped, like, there would have been definitely consequences. You know what I mean?
To Andrew's early point, do you think that's where you kind of got this? I'm assuming in your family there's this idea like, look, whatever happens tomorrow, we can't really worry about that because tomorrow everything could go. We could be killed, we could be in jail.
Yeah,
so let's just worry about today. Who cares about tomorrow? Do you think that was passed on to you?
Maybe not. I don't think anything of them was passed on to me. You don't understand. Like in my family, I'm like the Corky Romano, brother Fredo, like dumbass. Like the fact that comedy's working out for me now they're just like, yo, good job, Ralphie. But like for the longest, they're just like, fucking moron.
But I don't
like,
think that...
I'm the one guy in my family who like finished high school and they're just like, he's a pussy. Like.